soil erosion. So soil erosion, by definition, it's a detachment of soil particles, their transportation, and then deposition detached from one place and deposited into another. But the layman's description of soil erosion is the washing of topsoils from one place to another by the agents, of course, water and wind. Uganda natural resource has generally been degraded. In 2021, the World Bank report estimated that 41% of the Uganda total land area is experiencing degradation, with soil erosion being the most common form of degradation. And their report is in line with what was reported by CIAT in 2017, that over 40% of the Uganda total land area is actually experiencing worst case scenario soil erosion. In 2020, the Ministry of Water and Environment came up to report that 820 people were permanently displaced by landslides, soil-related effects in the areas of Mount Elgon region, Kasese, and some parts of Greater Kigezi region. Soil erosion and its effect has both agricultural and ecosystem impacts that have since contributed to economic vulnerabilities and poverty that we see in most of our communities in Uganda. And according to the reports by the World Bank and then CIAT, the rate of degradation and soil erosion is unsustainable, and it has costed Uganda about 17% of the country's gross domestic product. But then the question is, what causes the soil erosion? There is no doubt that human activities are a major cause of soil erosion in general. When we talk about the human activities, we mean the construction of roads and buildings, logging, mining, but majorly agricultural production activities that have resulted into a large number of amounts of soils being eroded. Removing trees and plants in general plant cover exposes the soil to the effects of the forces of water, running water and wind, coupled with other activities involved in livestock production of grazing, which destabilizes the soil, making it vulnerable to the vagaries of the forces of water and wind. Naturally, soil erosion takes place, but then in a natural ecosystem, it is estimated that about 2 milligrams of soil is lost per acre per year. That's in an ecosystem that is still intact. So naturally, there is a certain amount of soil erosion that happens, but that one is okay, it is part of the ecosystem. But human activities increase that rate of soil erosion by 10 to 100 times that of non-human geological process. And what happens is, soil erosion leaves the soil in a state that it cannot purely support plant or crop growth. Some of the effects of the soil erosion, we are feeling them in our day-to-day life. But above all, soil erosion removes valuable topsoil which is the most productive part of the soil profile for agriculture purposes. The loss of this topsoil results into low yields and in turn high production costs. When topsoil is gone, erosion continues again to cause a lot of rills and gullies that make cultivation difficult or even impossible. It must be understood that once soil is lost, it takes about other 100 years plus to form 1 millimeter of soil. So, meaning that efforts should be put in protecting the soil so that it is not eroded than rehabilitating the soil, because to rehabilitate it will take much more, many years, millions of years, to even get 1 centimeter of soil back. It is important to note that the effects of soil erosion go beyond the loss of soil and fertile land. It has led to increased pollution and sedimentation in streams and rivers, clogging these waterways and causing decline in fish and other water-related species. I'll give you an example of what happened in the past years in 2020-2021, where we had Lake Victoria flooding. We had other lakes, Lake Albert and rivers flooding beyond what we would expect and what we would expect. And as part of the reason was because these water bodies were sedimented. They had a lot of sand in them and it caused the water levels to rise. So, because of the soil erosion, when really the soil, the topmost layer that allows water to infiltrate, gets washed off, then you no longer have water entering into the soil, it runs off, and it is actually explaining a lot of floods that we are seeing. So what have we got to do? We have seen that most of these, the causes are agriculture related. So meaning we have to invest in education of our agrarian communities. We need to educate farmers. And key in this is the extension services that we need to give our farmers on the basic principles on how best they can use the land sustainably without exposing it all these effects. So the government need to invest in ensuring that extension services reach farmers, because even the soil that have been degraded, they need to be rehabilitated. So most of the ways to fix this is by using good agricultural practices, of which is the role of the extension agents to train farmers and put them into a position to better implement those practices. Among them, cover cropping, we need to do afforestation, we need to do trenches, the finer chins that we hear people advocating for everywhere, just basically good agricultural practices. But then the government also has to come up with policies that are tailored to land management. So, especially soil conservation and water conservation practices. This is what is lacking. The government has done so much, has not done much in regards policies to do with land use management. And this is a point where the government should come in, establish these policies, so that it becomes a law that a farmer that is producing has to take good care of his soil, so that the soil remains productive. With that, I think we can make a better use of our soils, can keep our soils productive for our use today and the future use. Thank you.